how many of us have said or heard that stress kills? I'm definitely guilty of saying that. However, today, we're going to rethink stress. Hopefully I can give you some tools to help you use stress as a performance enhancer. So I just finished this great book by David Yeager called 10 to 25, and this is based off of his chapter on stress. So the actual purpose of stress is to keep us alive. So if a bear is running at you, you have to be able to get big and loud, or if a bus is coming at you, you have to be able to jump out of the way. So a stressor is going to be a demand placed on the mind or body that we have to react to, that we have to deal with. And a stress response is actually the steps we take or how we deal with that stressor. A lot of the current beliefs are that stress is debilitating, and so our reaction to that is to immediately remove the stressor. However, I challenge you to change your thinking and think of stress as something that can enhance your performance or enhance your life. Our interpretation of the stressor is going to determine our response. So there's two types of responses. We've got the threat type response and the challenge type response. So in our world today, a lot of us have the threat type response, which should be reserved for like the bear or the bus coming at us. We respond to everyday things like an email that might make us angry with the threat type response, okay? And in the threat type response, the high level of demand for whatever the stressor is placed on you exceeds the amount of resources that you have to deal with that stressor. So as a reaction, your body's going to go through several things that you notice, right? So your body and brain prepare for damage, right? So our blood vessels constrict, our blood stays within our core because the body is preparing for damage and defeat. So keeping the blood here is going to minimize bleeding should said bear actually attack us. The increased cortisol levels, so cortisol is going to reduce inflammation in the body, and it's preparing to do that in the threat type response. We have reduced levels of testosterone, negative thoughts and emotions, anxiety, we get all in our heads with things. Our brain receives less oxygenated blood, so there's less blood flow to the brain, and that can lead to decreased performance. So what I hope we can all achieve is to have this challenge type response. So in the challenge type response, we see that there's room for growth. We see that we have the resources available to deal with that stressor that is presented, which leads to the brain says, we can do this. We've got this. We have prepared for this. We've studied. We've trained the proper way. We have the knowledge and we have the ability to achieve whatever goal it is that you have. So that increased heart rate that you feel, think of that as a resource. Your body is pumping oxygenated blood to your tissues, to your brain, which is going to enhance performance, all right? Cortisol is going to decrease because there's no threat. Testosterone will increase because you're thinking about that successful outcome. You're thinking of people clapping. You're thinking of people cheering for you, you meeting a goal. You're going to be proud of yourself. And then motivation and performance will go up. So let's do our best to stop thinking about everything as a threat type stressor and think of it as a challenge type stressor, okay? And after you achieve this, you're going to create more neuroplasticity in your brain because you're doing something and achieving something that maybe you weren't expecting. So let's think that stress is creating additional resources for us to achieve goals. And we also need to think about ways that we can increase our resources.